I speak as a survivor, a survivor in all circumstances, but um, it was a great impact in my life too because I was a contemplator.
In high school, when I was in a domestic violence, dating violence relationship, and I always thought that maybe one of the few ways to get out of that relationship was to commit suicide.
Asian and Pacific Islander women have the highest suicide rates. 1 out of 6 Asian and Pacific Islander women will attempt a suicide in their lifetime.
I think suicide is a common effect of survivors of domestic violence or dating violence and sexual assault and also human trafficking.
Many of them go through periods of feeling suicidal. I think it comes from coming to a point where they just have no more hope.
40 to 60% of Asian women report experiencing physical and or sexual violence by an intimate partner during their lifetime.
And really affects them in the way that they view themselves, the way that they may or may not love themselves. And then we put our parents, my parents are immigrants, just all these expectations of who we need to be, what our goals are supposed to be. Queer is definitely not one of them. It never occurred to me that there was anything other than being straight. So then, when I was going through that relationship, thinking about my sexuality, it was all really, really difficult. And I still have my journals where I would just talk about, I would write all the time about, how much I just wanted freedom. So I always thought freedom was just my left.
We know that after they experience whatever they had experienced, that they survived, whether it's sexual assault or abuse from a loved one, a lot of things can happen afterwards that leads them to further isolation. Rape victims reported more nervous breakdowns, more suicidal thoughts, and more suicide attempts.
Who do you turn to, and who is there for you?
And in the past, I have, I think, 2 or 3 clients that at some point told me that they want to kill themselves.
Suicide is the leading cause of death among young people.
I can say it because personally I experienced this. One of my good friends, really good, close to us, their daughter, just killed herself. And so it was sort of a shock. And I think all of us kind of feel guilty about it because that kid is so close to us. It's my children's friends. And so I think the impact in the community is then all of us in the community come together to support each other. To really just celebrate the life of her and not focus on the negative part of it. And I know that it's so difficult for all of us to go through that, but I think it's a process of healing and also understanding that we have to be aware of how we can prevent that, or how precious is the life of a person, that whenever you have time, you need to make sure that you are able to show or prove how much you care about or love this person. So.
Why are we silent?
Maybe they feel shameful or of not. For example, if the parents don't want to talk about it, it's because they feel guilt or shame because they don't provide enough support to this child or to their family member.
And maybe we never know if that's why it happened, because in our culture of not speaking about taboo things like sex or even dating, right? We never know.
I think there's also the misperception sometimes that suicide is something that people just use to get attention or out of drama, and don't want to necessarily equate all expressions of thoughts of suicide with that, but to be aware that within the context of abuse, things can be more complicated than they might at first seem.
We can make a difference.
supporting a survivor is something that doesn't end at a certain period, but something that can be extended throughout their lifetime.
The sun will always rise and the sun will always set, meaning that there is always something the next following day that's positive.